Here are some coins from countries that no longer exist. I will rank them from most recent to least recent. I want to start with a bank, so let me break that rule immediately and show you this coin from the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, made in 1583, so 441 years ago. The coin is 2.5 grams of silver and it depicts Stefan Batory. You may be familiar with the name Batory, as either you listen to black metal or know about Elizabeth Batory, the Hungarian noblewoman and alleged serial killer. Going back to this time when the coin was made in 1584, Poland-Lithuania was about at their peak of their size. So from this coin onwards, it was only downhill from there in terms of territory for both Poland and Lithuania. Just as a curious fact, this coin was made in Vilnius, Lithuania, which is interesting as I personally expected for this coin to be made somewhere in Poland, but I was wrong. Going back to sorting the coins from most recent to least, this coin is from the Republic of Artsakh, which disappeared in 2023, as this country was annexed by Azerbaijan. The country was not recognized officially, but it served as a political entity for Armenians living inside of Azerbaijan. You may know it as Nagorno-Karabakh, and since it no longer exists, this coin is special. It's 1 dram from 2004, weighing a little over a gram, and it's made out of aluminum. According to my experience, countries that use aluminum coins have always done poorly, at least in terms of economics. Going over to Yugoslavia, which you may be surprised to hear that it actually officially collapsed in 2003. So this is 2 dinar from the year 2000, weighing at 5 grams and being made out of more durable combination of metals. This is from the time when Yugoslavia was technically democratic, but it also used to be a communist state and a monarchy. I have a coin from each one of these periods that I will show you. This is 50 dinars from 1955, of course from socialist Yugoslavia, which you can see how labor is depicted, but also the star and the coat of arms. As for the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, I have this 2 dinar coin from 1938, weighing and being made out of the exact same metals as the previous coin. I know that I'm only supposed to show coins, but I happen to have some banknotes from Yugoslavia, so let me show you a couple. This is 100,000 dinars from 1989, just before the fall of communism, but I also have this 5 billion with a B dinar banknote from 1993. You can just see that during the 1980s, Yugoslavia wasn't doing so good economically, and after the collapse of the Soviet Union and transition into a democracy, which happened in Yugoslavia in 1992, the currency just collapsed. Speaking of the Soviet Union, this coin is from 1989 and it's 20 kopek. Interestingly enough, despite the economic hardships of the Soviet Union, the currency remained very stable. It was after its collapse that the Russian Federation experienced hyperinflation like Yugoslavia. I cannot resist to show you this 10 ruble Soviet banknote from 1991. And yes, it's the exact same year that the Soviet Union had collapsed, so it makes this banknote even more interesting. But before there was the Soviet Union, there was the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, which only after they won the Russian Civil War reformed into the Soviet Union, technically being a different country. This is 15 kopek from 1922, used during the Russian Civil War, and it's 2.7 grams being 50% silver, so there is 1.35 grams of silver in this coin, while also being more than 100 years old. Going over to the biggest rival of the Soviet Union during the Second World War, which is Germany, but more specifically Nazi Germany. Here are 3 coins I have from that period, with them being from 1940 and the middle one is from 1942, so it was used during the Battle of Stalingrad. You can see how on the back of these coins the German ideology is clearly shown, and most of these coins were destroyed after the war, so getting my hand of these was somewhat difficult and pricey. I also want to mention that these coins were made out of zinc, which is not typical for coins to be made out of such a metal. You can assume that in Germany during the Second World War all precious metals went towards building tanks. So this country disappeared in 1945 and was split into East and West Germany for the duration of the Cold War. Here we have 2 Deutsche Mark from 1957 and the country of origin is East Germany. An interesting fact about this coin is that it was produced before the construction of the Berlin Wall, which started in 1961. This means that people from West Berlin most likely also used this coin to purchase goods in East Berlin. While we're on the topic of Germany, it's time to mention the Weimar Republic, which produced these 2 beautiful coins This is 5 Rand pfennig from 1924 and it's made out of at least some parts bronze, which is important as the next coin on the list is this 50 pfennig from 1920 and it's made out of aluminum, due to the allies of France and Britain requesting Germany pay war reparations after the country lost the First World War. This is important as the same denomination of coins used to be made out of silver, as here is 50 pfennig or half a mark from 1906, which is a good transition to use into the German Empire, from which I also happen to have this 5 pfennig from 1911, just before the start of the Great War. Speaking of the Great War, Austria-Hungary used to exist, but collapsed right after this conflict. Here is 10 helera from the Austrian portion of the empire, minted in 1915. I say the Austrian portion because Hungary had their own currency, which is these 2 and 20 helera made in 1917, so just before the disastrous ascent of Austria-Hungary in the Great War. I do have some more Austrian coins from the time of Austria-Hungary, which were these 2 helera from 1899, so we have officially entered the 1800s, but also these 2 and 10 helera from 1894. Another country that disappeared right after they were defeated in the Great War is the Ottoman Empire, which had these 20 para coin from 1909, made before the Balkan Wars and the Italo-Turkish War. I also have this coin from Selim III, made in 1789, exactly during the French Revolution. The coin is almost 3 grams and is made out of 50% silver, so it has 1.5 grams of silver within it. Going even further back, I have this coin from 1730, which is half a gram of silver, being 294 years old. The Russian Empire is another country that collapsed right after the Great War, so let me show you their currency. They had this 10 kopek coin from 1912, minted during the reign of Nicholas II, made out of 50% silver and weighing 1.8 grams. Going into some more serious and rare coins, this is one Putina from 1846, just before the revolutions of 1848, most likely being used during them. This coin weighs at 10.4 grams and is 86% silver, making it contain about 8 grams of pure silver. I have 2 coins from the reign of Alexander I. This is 1 ruble from 1824, so exactly 200 years ago. It's almost 21 grams and it has 86% silver, so it's about 16 grams of pure silver, twice as much as the previous coin. Back in the day, having a single ruble, pound, franc, mark, dollar or whatever was very rare, and for the average person it took them days to work for this money. Going even further back in terms of the currency of the Russian Empire, this coin is from Empress Anna Ivanova, and it's 1 pulushka from 1735, made out entirely out of copper. Generally, the condition of the coin is not great, so it's hard to see, but I hope that you can at least see the Russian eagle at the back in the year, which is 1735. The coin was made out 289 years ago. Now I hope that you don't know that I'm finished with going back in time, as even before the French Revolution, which I mentioned earlier, I have this coin from the Sun King Louis XIV. It is from 1661 and it's 1/12 of a Q. It's 2.26 grams of 91% silver, so it contains exactly 2 grams of pure silver. The important thing is that this coin was minted in the French city of Limoges, so in this specific city only 123,000 of these coins were ever produced. This makes them very rare, as this coin could have been melted and its silver being used elsewhere. To put it into perspective, this coin survived the French Revolution, but also both world wars, especially the German occupation of France. If during the occupation the Germans had found this coin, they would have melted it and used its silver for something else. Now I have not mentioned countries like Britain, and I just touched the surface when it comes to France, so subscribe if you want to see part 2 of this scenario. I also have so many coins and banknotes I would like to show you from all over the world and all time periods. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.